Hi, Eric Lanask with TMC. We're here in New York City at Cloud Expo, and I'm talking with Barry Morris of NuoDB. Barry, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
You know what? We'll start off with an easy question. Tell me about who is NuoDB?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So NuoDB is really focused on what is the hardest problem of moving to the cloud. Everyone's wanting to move to the cloud, and at the various levels of moving to a cloud, the problems have been solved, except at the database level. And that's the hard piece. In particular, the hard piece is how do you take traditional database workloads, which we call SQL and transactional workloads, and move them to the cloud. So there are lots of really great database technologies out there, and they've been successful for 30 or 40 years, and the world runs on them. But the problem is they don't run on lots of machines, they run on single machines, and you have to have dedicated servers and so forth. The holy grail is to solve that problem, is to take standard database workloads, SQL database workloads, and run them across as many machines as you like, and change that every few minutes if you want to.
So what is your approach to solving that puzzle?
Well, so there are kind of two answers to that, the short answer and the long answer. The short one takes about 8 hours. I don't know if we got that. The answer is actually throw the book away. All database systems for the last 30 years have been built around one standard architecture, which is, for technical people, is basically storage-oriented. So database systems are kind of fancy file systems. And what we had to do is to throw that out of the window and say, well, how can you build from the ground up a radically new software architecture that can do what databases do, but is predicated on a completely different approach? And so we don't have the time now to talk about all the details of that, but again, if you want some of the buzzwords, it's a peer-to-peer system. It's a messaging system that provides really great database capabilities, and it's really in memory. It's predicated on being in memory, but durable, and that's really the main sort of headlines.
Are there additional security requirements that you have to consider?
Security is the single biggest thing that enterprise care about going to the cloud. We've done surveys on this stuff, and you ask them about databases on the cloud, all they talk about is security. And it's much harder with a distributed database because it's not locked away with people in white coats in a data center. It could be running on a cloud, could be running on multiple clouds. And so yes, the answer is we have to have encrypted protocols, we have to have all sorts of authentication for machines to join into a running database and so forth. The security requirements are very high and are fundamental to what we do.
So it's interesting. There are security, as you say, has always been sort of top of mind, and it's always been the kind of one of the main reasons that a lot of folks have avoided migrating to the cloud. It sounds like that's not as much of an issue, that vendors like NuoDB have sort of gotten a handle around security.
Yeah, I think security is getting there, particularly security of your data is getting there. But there are multiple dimensions to it. The one piece is nobody can get at my data, so I don't want to put my data on the cloud because I don't want anyone to get at it. And so that's about putting kind of security sort of boundaries around the data on the cloud. We do that. But there are other aspects of security, including I don't want to lose my data if the vendor goes away or if they lose their machines or whatever it is. And at that kind of level, what you need is to have a database system that can exist simultaneously in your data center and on the cloud. And we do that, and that's a rather clever capability of the product, but it allows you to put your data on the cloud without letting go of it. And that's a very key thing around security.
Now, are we talking about eliminating, getting rid of those existing databases and starting from scratch, or are we supplementing what enterprises have already been using?
Oh, it's very much a database system. It is a database system equivalent to an Oracle or a Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL or something like that. Many of our customers are using it to build new applications for the cloud. And there are an increasing number that are moving existing applications to the cloud, whether that's a private cloud or a public cloud or a hybrid cloud. And in that case, they don't want to re-architect those applications. They want this SQL interface, this industry standard way of talking to databases, but they need cloud. And really, if you put those requirements together, there's really only one product on the market that can do that.
And that'd be yours?
Yes, coincidentally.
Are we talking about public cloud environments, private, or does it not matter?
It really doesn't matter. In fact, we would argue very strongly that one of the problems going forward is as the cloud vendors are looking to essentially lock customers into their cloud, What customers are trying to do is the opposite. They're wanting to be able to run their database system on a private cloud, run it on a public cloud, run it on a set of distributed machines, run it on a hybrid environment, and to change that on Monday morning if they so choose. And so our model is download the product, build your application, run it wherever you want to. If you want to change your mind in due course, change your mind. And so it's all of the above.
What's the driving force behind everything that NuoDB's done, and sort of and the growth around cloud and the growth of, I guess, really big data?
Well, the driving force is actually the multiple things that are going on, and so this is what's interesting about this point in database world, is that for 30 years we had a consolidating market and a very small number of vendors that essentially owned the entire market. Somehow we suddenly got this sort of Cambrian revolution that's going on, and lots and lots of new technologies. Why is it? Because there's lots of data, because the compute capacity, storage capacity, and so forth are for free, because people are moving into these outsourced rented environments, cloud types of environments, and because people are looking more and more at analytics as a way to kind of optimize their businesses. And you pull all of those things together, and you see this kind of really big sort of tidal wave of interest in next generation database technologies. But I think what you're seeing at the same time is that what I've called the Cambrian explosion is something that's going to settle down to a new set of leaders. And what we would argue is that the need for the world to have general purpose SQL database capability on the cloud is one of, if not the single most important thing around this revolution. And we're in the fortunate position that there's really no one else that's got it.
And how do you get in front of your customers? Do you partner with other cloud vendors, cloud providers, or what's your strategy?
Yeah, so it's the primary strategy is actually a download strategy. So we're kind of a new age software company. People download it. It downloads in 3 minutes, and it's a 3-click install, and you can run it on your laptop or whatever. But you would be crazy to not have a multi-channel model in this kind of business. I've been doing this for a lot of years now. And so, yes, we have great partners, we have really major, significant customers, and then we have lots and lots of people that are just starting the next startup, or they're downloading it, they're trying it, they're building it. It might be anything from a game to the next social network to a photo sharing site. We have people that are building voice over IP systems. We have people that are building, at the other end of the spectrum, big enterprise databases, and we're happy to talk to all of them.
Excellent. Well, Barry, thank you so much for joining me. Good luck here at the show.
Thank you very much indeed.